The Denver Broncos made multiple moves today. Let's discuss. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Sparkin over Broncos, the show where we spark conversation about our Denver Broncos. I am your host, Gage Madrid. Tomorrow, March 14th, marks the unofficial beginning of NFL free agency with the opening of the legal tampering period. The legal tampering period is where NFL players can officially begin negotiating contracts with other teams. These contracts cannot be officially signed, however, until the league year officially begins on March 16th. With less than 24 hours remaining until new contracts will be announced, NFL teams are scrambling to sign last-minute extensions, hand out last-minute tenders, as well as make the tough decisions about who the team is not going to bring back. And the Denver Broncos are no exception to that. On Sunday afternoon, multiple reports have come out regarding the futures of multiple Denver Broncos players, including Diontae Spencer, Andrew Beck, among others. In this video, we will preview the various moves made by the Denver Broncos on the eve of NFL free agency. But before we get into that, a couple of housekeeping matters to attend to. We are trying to grow this community and include as many people in the conversation as possible, so I do ask a couple of favors of you. A like on this video would be greatly appreciated. It would go a long way in helping us. If you would like to add to the conversation, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. And speaking of conversation, go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter at GageMadridNFL for more coverage of our Denver Broncos as well as the NFL in general. And with that out of the way, let's get into the rest of the video. Among the noteworthy moves, the Denver Broncos have decided not to place a tender on wide receiver / punt returner Diontae Spencer, making him a free agent. Spencer has been with the Broncos since 2019, following a 4-season stint in the Canadian Football League. Prior to Spencer's arrival, the Denver Broncos had been through a revolving door at punt returner as they struggled to find someone with secure enough hands for the job. While Spencer did bring that, he didn't bring much else of value to the team. Spencer was seldom used on offense during his time in Denver, his maximum number of offensive snaps coming in his first year here with only 70. That number dwindled down even further following the arrival of Pat Shurmur as offensive coordinator, with Spencer only playing 54 offensive snaps in 2021. In those 54 snaps, Spencer only recorded one reception for -3 yards on the entire season. Spencer didn't bring much more value as a punt returner either, as he only averaged 7.9 yards per return on 26 attempts. Spencer only returned one punt for a touchdown during his tenure in Denver, which was in the 2020 season against the Carolina Panthers. If you're going to use a roster spot on a player who only brings value as a return specialist, A, he better also return kickoffs, and B, he better be one of the best return specialists in the game who has a chance to break out a big return at any given time. Although Diontae Spencer seems like a good dude, that roster spot can be used on someone who brings more value to the team in terms of more than one aspect. I could see them looking towards the draft to potentially fill that void, and perhaps you can kill two birds with one stone and bring in someone who could also see playing time at DB or at slot receiver. I wish Spencer well, but he was someone who simply didn't have a future with the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have also decided not to tender interior offensive lineman Austin Schlottmann. Schlottmann has been with the team since 2018, having signed with us as an undrafted free agent out of TCU. After spending the entire 2018 season on the practice squad, Schlottmann made the active roster in 2019 as a rotational guard / center. Schlottmann has made 7 starts in 3 seasons for the Denver Broncos, including 1 start in the 2021 season. Pro Football Focus didn't think very highly of Schlottmann in that game, as he posted dismal blocking grades of 26.3 in the passing game, with a slight improvement in the run game, posting a 49.3 run blocking grade. Schlottmann has fallen down the depth chart in Denver since the arrival of Quinn Miners and Netane Muti, so he is now poised to enter free agency hoping to find an opportunity with another squad. I wish him nothing but the best moving forward. Moving on to more positive news, the Denver Broncos are indeed bringing back several players that I was lobbying for them to bring back on my Broncos should resign these players video. The team has re-signed fullback / tight end Andrew Beck, as well as offensive tackle Calvin Anderson. They have also tendered quarterback Brett Rippon, linebacker Jonas Griffith, and safety PJ Locke. Beck has been with the team since 2019. He signed with the New England Patriots as an undrafted free agent, but he was waived by the Pats coming out of training camp and was immediately claimed off waivers by the Denver Broncos. Beck brought immediate value on special teams and was also able to carve himself a role on offense in both the tight end and fullback positions in the West Coast scheme that then Broncos offensive coordinator Rich Scangarello was running. In 2019, Beck played a career-high 230 offensive snaps, where he recorded 9 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown, along with 1 carry for 3 yards. Following the arrival of Pat Shurmur as offensive coordinator, although Beck remained rock solid on special teams, his offensive production fell off a cliff. In the 2020 and 2021 seasons, Beck only logged 66 and 55 offensive snaps respectively. Seems to be a common theme with Pat Shurmur, eh? Thankfully, new Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett and offensive coordinator Justin Outen will be bringing back the West Coast zone run scheme that Beck thrived in 2019. The Packers employed 2 players in the fullback tight end role similar to Beck in 2020 in Josiah DeGuara and Dominique Daphne. Beck figures to see a sharp increase in snaps with the implementation of this new offense. He was given a 1-year deal with some guaranteed money in lieu of a tender which would have carried no guaranteed money per Broncos insider Mike Kliss. The Broncos are doing right by Beck here, and hopefully he is once again able to carve himself a role offensively now that he is in a scheme where he figures to get more playing time. It was also announced that offensive tackle Calvin Anderson would be getting a 1-year deal with guaranteed money similar to Andrew Beck. Anderson joined the Broncos in 2019 after being claimed off waivers by the New York Jets. He entered the 2020 season as a reserve tackle for the team. He started 2 games for the Broncos in 2020 and looked quite promising in those 2 games. Anderson entered the 2021 offseason in a competition with Bobby Massey for the starting right tackle role. Massey ended up winning the job by a pretty wide margin, relegating Anderson to primarily a reserve role. Anderson started 3 games for the Broncos in 2021 at left tackle in place of an injured Garrett Bowles. He played pretty well in those 3 games, posting a solid run blocking grade of 62.5. PFF really liked him as a pass protector, however, grading him 79.5 in pass blocking. Unfortunately, Anderson suffered a season-ending ankle injury in the Broncos' Week 12 game against the Los Angeles Chargers and was placed on IR. The Broncos bring back Anderson on a 1-year deal worth about $2.5 million, including some guaranteed money, which is a very nice gesture for a player coming off of an injury. Although Broncos general manager George Paton has expressed the team's desire to upgrade at the right tackle position this offseason, worst case scenario, you have a top-tier swing guy in Calvin Anderson. As I like to say, you can never have too many good offensive linemen or too many good defensive linemen. Especially in the trenches, guys are going to get nicked up, leaving players such as Calvin Anderson to fill that void. If we were to lose Garrett Bowles or whoever we end up starting at right tackle for a chunk of time, we can rest easily knowing that we have a good player in Calvin Anderson who can come in and bring quality level tackle play. A very good move by the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have also issued tenders to 3 exclusive rights free agents in quarterback Brett Rippon, linebacker Jonas Griffith, and safety PJ Locke. All 3 of these guys are now going to be back with the team on 1-year deals for around the veteran minimum. Rippon signed with the team in 2019 as an undrafted free agent out of Boise State. He has brought a nice contribution to the quarterback room. He possesses a high football IQ and displays good decision making when you watch him play. He doesn't have the most arm talent in the world, but he does bring some decent mobility which helps make up for it. Rippon has started 1 NFL game in his career. That, of course, came in 2020 on the road against the New York Jets. Rippon was up and down in that game, completing 61% of his passes for 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did throw 3 interceptions, and he probably should have thrown 5. The other 2 were plays where the Jets defense just couldn't capitalize. Rippon was primarily 3rd on the Broncos depth chart, but he did dress in a few games as the QB2 following Teddy Bridgewater's season-ending injury in Week 15. He played a few snaps when Drew Lock was briefly knocked out of the Week 17 game against the Chargers. As the Broncos are a team with Super Bowl aspirations following the trade for Russell Wilson, I do not foresee the team being comfortable with Brett Rippon as their backup should, knock on wood, Russell Wilson get nicked up at any point next season. That being said, I do feel the Broncos will carry Rippon through training camp and likely sign him to the practice squad next season. He brings nice value to your quarterback room, and I do feel that it was a good move keeping him around. The tendering of Jonas, Griffith, and P.J. Locke were moves primarily made to bolster the special teams unit, but in the case of Griffith, I do feel that he has a chance to carve himself a role on defense. Griffith was traded to the Broncos from the San Francisco 49ers prior to the 2021 season, primarily to fill a need on special teams. He played well down the stretch last season at linebacker when called upon due to injuries, however. Griffith started 4 games in 2021, recording 46 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. His best game came in Week 16 against the Las Vegas Raiders, where he recorded 7 total tackles. Griffith has a shot to enter the 2022 season as the main backup at the inside linebacker position, dependent on how the rest of the position group shakes out this offseason. The Denver Broncos may very well have something in Jonas Griffith. As far as P.J. Locke is concerned, he was added to the Broncos practice squad late in the 2019 season. He once again made the Broncos practice squad entering the 2020 season, but he was soon elevated to the 53-man roster. Locke has predominantly played special teams for the Denver Broncos, only playing 33 defensive snaps in his entire career, but he did bring solid play to a special teams unit that was lacking overall. The Denver Broncos have made an effort to retain all of their solid contributors on special teams from last season, while making an overall effort to bolster the unit from last season. P.J. Locke does have a chance to earn himself a role once again on special teams entering next season. So that's a wrap for the Broncos moves for today, and I definitely feel like they made some good moves. They were able to retain some key contributors in Andrew Beck, Jonas Griffith, and Calvin Anderson, as well as move on from some players that I didn't feel were contributing as much, such as Diontae Spencer. Tomorrow, March 14th, is the big day, Broncos country, as we will begin to hear of players agreeing to deals with new teams. Be sure to tune in to Sparkin over Broncos, as we will keep you informed of any moves the Broncos make over the course of the free agency period. I'm curious, Broncos country, how do you feel about the moves the Broncos have made this offseason so far? Do you agree with the decision to bring back the guys they brought back? Also, who do you feel the Broncos' top target should be as free agency unofficially begins tomorrow? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd really love to hear from you. And for now, this has been another episode of Sparkin over Broncos, the show where we spark conversation about our Denver Broncos. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Gage Madrid NFL. And for now, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying, peace out.